Buckle up, it's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Boom! Yeah.
Yes.
We are excited about this. Who do we have today, Mr. Craig?
Oh, do you want to know who we have?
Yes.
Okay. We have Mr. Mitch Dunford.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
It is awesome to have you on. We just recently became Facebook friends. Look at that.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah. Well, we look. I go in. I scan your information there. I'm like, hey, this guy needs to come in. And then interesting story. At the same time that I was doing that, I was talking to Jason on the phone, and I told him, but he didn't listen because then on the off to the side, he asked you to come on.
Yeah, it was ironic.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So that's how we roll.
That's how we do it.
We really wanted to make sure you came on.
So
Yes.
Tell me, you said you checked into my profile, my Facebook profile. And so I was talking to Mac, our audio producer, and I'm like, why do these guys want to talk to me? If they've looked at my Facebook profile, I'm afraid. I'm scared because it ranges from everything from when I was president and CEO at Insurance Journal, all the way down to the fact that I was on vacation last week with my 6 kids in Utah, to my time as a San Diego policeman, to my support of LGBTQ Mormon kids. I mean, it ranges. Why do you want to talk to me? What?
There you go.
Well, I saw the National Alliance for Insurance Education and Research.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, we got to get this guy on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the stars lined up, and here we are.
Before we jump into that, though, the first question that we always ask is, what was the first concert you ever went to?
Boston, Denver, Colorado, 1970.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
You're our
That could
first
be
Boston.
the best one. That could be the best.
That could be the best. Yeah, it was a great experience. Went with a bunch of my friends in high school, and
Nice.
yeah.
When I was younger, my dad had a 65 Mustang, and it had an 8-track player. And the one 8-track that I can remember, like I could see the picture of that Boston album, and we would play it over and over.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 8-track. You don't know what that is, huh, Mr. Jason?
Oh, I
8-track.
do. My grandpa had 8 tracks.
Oh, thanks. Great.
Yeah. But I'll never. He used to listen to in this house, because I live in my grandparents' old house. They used to have an 8-track player up here in the extra bedroom, and I'll never forget. He had it all set up where he would listen to Hank Williams, like My Bucket's Got a Hole in It, like old Hank Williams. You remember that? And he would just sit there, and sometimes he would cry.
So one of the coolest things I ever got for Christmas when I was in high school was an 8-track player that had an AM radio on it and a turntable to play records on the top.
3-in-1.
Oh, that's awesome.
3-in-1. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Back
That is,
in the day.
it's interesting how it went from 8-track then to regular cassette, because to me, the 8-track was a better technology because you could forward quicker.
Yeah, you didn't have to fast forward or rewind.
Yeah,
You just hit a button. Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
didn't they?
It was just size.
Yeah.
So I guess size matters.
We've lost all the millennials.
All right.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So let's go back from Boston to now. How did you get to where you are now? And wow, you have a crazy bunch of history with different careers, it sounds like.
Yeah. So one of the questions I always ask people is, how did you get into the insurance industry? And when I give a presentation or a speech, I ask people to raise their hands. I mean, how many people planned on going into the insurance industry? And it's a fraction. Most people fall into it, and I'm one of those. So I was a San Diego policeman. I was working on the beach enforcement team down in Mission Beach for my Southern California friends.
Yes.
And I got into a fight trying to make an arrest on a guy that was wrung out on crystal meth, big guy. And to make a long story short, I ended up breaking my leg in like 10 places. had to have a couple operations, and the surgeon that operated on me said, listen, my friend, your career's over, because I'm not going to take the liability to say that you can go back on the street. So I started this process, a retirement process through the police department that lasted about 1.5 years. And at that time, I had like 5 kids. So I saw the writing on the wall, and I jumped into graduate school and got an MBA in e-commerce back during the big .com frenzy.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And for my master's thesis, I did a web strategy for a local farmers agency.
Oh.
And built them a website. And so that led me to finding, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what year was that? Because the internet stuff is real interesting at the beginning.
Yeah, late 90s.
Late 90s. I went to MBA in 2000 to 2002, and I bet my curriculum was totally different than yours.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you could take my books and it's like, it's completely irrelevant, just worthless. Everything we learned.
By the time they wrote a book and printed it,
right,
it didn't matter. It
Right.
all changed. Yeah. So it was a really interesting time.
Yeah.
And so are you guys familiar with Wells Media Group, the
Yes.
Insurance Journal? You get
vaguely.
Yeah.
I'm on the list.
For the daily news email.
Yeah, I get the thing every day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. I launched that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but anyway, so I found they were advertising for a position to sell internet advertising. You know, banner ads, back when banner ads were just rolling out. So I went to work for the Insurance Journal right out of grad school after retiring officially from the police department, and started selling internet ads and helping Insurance Journal build out their internet strategy. New websites, emails, all of that. We launched podcasts. And if you go now to insurancejournal.tv, the Insurance Journal has, I would say, one of the most robust catalogs of audio and video content. So that's how, and then I worked my way up and eventually became president and CEO of the organization. Left a few years ago and came over to the National Alliance, but still have a lot of great friends at Insurance Journal. Mark Wells and that team over there are great people. It's a great organization. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. And that brings you to this.
To the National Alliance. Yeah.
Yes. And
so talk about that.
Yeah. It sounds like you had it all at the, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so why would you transition out of that?
For a lot of reasons. We wanted to get out of California. I mean, the first time I filled my gas tank here in Texas, I thought there was a problem. It's like, it can't be. No way. No. Yeah. For that.
What they're paying me, they gave me money.
Yeah.
Just here.
So I left there. Bill Hold, the co-founder of the National Alliance, he started this organization back in 1969. We just had our 50th anniversary last year. He and his son, William, who's taking over as president and CEO next month, were looking to do more online and to grow their internet presence and some of their content, make some changes with curriculum and how it was distributed. So I came over here, and I've been here 3 years. And again, the insurance industry is just full of amazing people. Not only are they generally super smart, super talented, passionate about what they do, but most of the time they're great people. Mm-hmm. They're fun to be around. They're good people. They give back. So the same is true here at the National Alliance. It's just been a delight to be here. Great people, and living in Texas has been a lot of fun.
Cool. So what are the type of things that you guys are doing? Like, what's this organization do, and how do they support the industry?
So the National Alliance for 50 years has been providing insurance education and designation. So our flagship designation is the Certified Insurance Counselor designation, or CIC.
Okay.
And, it requires that we have 7 programs, 7 individual courses. You have to take 5 of them and pass the exams at the end of each 16-hour course. Once you do that, you're awarded the designation. And then every year you do a 16-hour update to stay current on some of the advanced topics that we offer. So we have a number of other designations. One of them is for customer service reps. We have a designation for risk managers. We have a designation for school risk managers, and one for agents who specialize in high net worth clientele called CPRM. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what we do. So we create these courses and we offer them both in the classroom environment, and obviously now the majority of what we do is online.
So you've been doing online since before online was incredibly profitable. Well, I guess it was profitable, but it was, I don't know.
In the insurance industry, Jason, in the insurance industry, when we started, we had to be at Insurance Journal. We had to be careful what we did because most agencies were still on dial-up.
Wow.
So
that kind of brings me to the point that I was going to say is that you're on the forefront of technology, but you're hitting an industry that tends to be on the tail end of technology.
True.
So
it's getting a lot better. It's getting a lot better. Yeah, definitely.
And so take us through that. Like, what have you seen? What are some strengths, weaknesses? Like, talk about that experience. I mean, that's got to be kind of like if you're pushing yourself to be on the forefront of that, and then with an industry that's kind of pulling back a little bit, it's kind of a weird...
When I think back in the early days, there was a lot of trial and error. It was, for example, we were talking about the Insurance Journal daily email newsletter that now I think probably has between 80 and maybe 100,000 subscribers. I don't know, but it's up there that get that email every day. When we launched that, we downloaded a piece of free software, an HTML email management tool that we got for free. We loaded a couple hundred customers into it. I would literally go to the Insurance Journal website every day and copy and paste the news stories into that piece of software and then send it out. I mean, it was a real kind of innovative, grassroots, make it up as we go type of strategy, and it worked out.
That's so cool.
And innovation is kind of like that. It's messy. You try stuff. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But you just keep going and you make adjustments, and amazing things can happen.
Right. Well, there's huge value with an email list. I mean, this is the thing that's a big asset for digital marketers is that list. Right. And so if you're hitting that list and you have valuable content, things are going to happen.
Yeah. And you have to have great content. And one of the advantages that Insurance Journal has is that they focus on news. So news is always top of mind for people. It's always changing. So their team of writers every day is updating the content on the homepage of the Insurance Journal website, which Google loves. So it boosts their ranking. They have a lot of great content that churns through their website.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what, where have you've been an outsider, let's say, to the insurance industry, like we talked about before. You were saying I've never been an insurance agent. I've just, been working with insurance agents or serving insurance agents. What things have shocked you or that you've been surprised of as you've learned more about the insurance industry?
Just how interesting and fun it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
It's a fascinating business. And while, being a police officer, when people were fleeing from a scene, I was fleeing to it as fast as I could because I thought it was fun. I wanted to get into the mix. And insurance professionals, risk managers, they're similar. They embrace risk Instead of fleeing from it, they embrace it, they study it, they have fun with it, and they make money off of it. That's fascinating. And I think it requires a certain type of personality that really fits with that. So that's what surprised me the most. I went into it thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so boring.
No, it's true. Everybody thinks. I mean, that's the running joke that Craig and I always, insurance is so boring. Like that's what we even tell our agents, right? When we're training them, is like insurance is so boring. Like you got to bring your personality into it. And really, like that's kind of what you're saying is that I mean, the people behind insurance have big personalities, and they are trying to help, and they are trying to do something kind of unique. So it is fun. It's funny to say it's fun, but
in that the product itself may not be the most exciting thing in the world, and the perception of the product is it's a commodity. I don't care. Just give me what I need.
That's the perception.
You have to be interesting, right? You have to bring fun and interest to the job, or it's just like the DMV or something. We have to make it a little bit more exciting. Otherwise, we're not going to attract anybody. And especially now, when this entire industry is flipping upside down and going to technology, and I think there's a lot of consolidation, we need to differentiate. So you were about to say so. Well, where do you see the agent's role going forward? I know that there's some agents that think, hey, it's the end of the world. There's not going to be agents in 3 years.
No, it's too complicated. Yeah, especially commercial lines. It's just, I mean, what was funny when I was president at Insurance Journal, we had our own insurance agency that we worked with, and once a year he'd come down and meet with me, and he'd get so frustrated because he just assumed that I knew all of these different insurance components and definitions and things, and I didn't know what he was talking about, and he thought I should. But the agent plays such an important role in this risk, the concept of risk management. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to understand the policy language. You have to understand the exclusions that apply. If you don't, you're not doing your customer the service that they deserve, especially with commercial lines and how complicated it can be. I mean, your people's financial welfare hangs in the balance if you don't do it right.
Yeah. Yep. It's amazing how some of the carriers have mismanaged the perception of what insurance really is to the consumer, because the message over and over, and especially in P&C, I think that in the commercial side, the client's a little bit more sophisticated and has an understanding of what's at risk. Right. But in the consumer, in the consumer space, in the home and auto, you have companies that it's all about getting the cheapest deal. And I say cheapest, not lowest, the cheapest, right?
Yeah.
They
and we all know who they are. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But this is my selling point. You're not going to spend any time. I won't quantify it as 15 minutes, but you're not going to spend any time, and it's going to save you money by doing it. And it's like, if that's your selling point, then what the hell are you selling? You're selling air, right? So I think and that's part of our job, right? Is to shift the mind of that consumer, which can be troubling sometimes. It can be hard, especially for new agents that are young and that you're coaching, because they come with this perception too. And so, it's an uphill battle. We have to constantly go against that message.
This is not old news. I mean, when I first started in the insurance industry and started paying attention to the automation and the internet, everyone was saying that the day of the agent's over. This is all going to move online. It didn't. It's not going to. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I was so proud to be part of the industry during the Great Recession, when some of the other financial institutions inside, our country and our financial system did us all a disservice. The insurance industry, for the most part, didn't get involved in that and helped us maintain our integrity and our unique economy, which helped us come out of it. I was really proud to be a part of it.
Uh-huh.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's what financial institutions are backed by, right?
Exactly. Our unique economy relies on the promise that the insurance industry makes every day.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
It's people don't think about that deep enough, especially, like these kind of times, right? I mean, the insurance industry is a very solid institution that is holding a lot together. When things get shaky ground, you always have the insurance industry kind of helping.
That's right. To step up. Yeah.
Yep.
and not to badmouth the banks, but here they are again, getting free
know.
money to hand out to everybody, right? I don't want to get philosophical, but it is interesting how a business can get free cost of goods sold. Here you go. Here's your product, hand it out.
I got to tell
I
you,
just
it reminds me of 2000, the early 2000s and how that all played out. And I get a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I had dinner with my CPA last night. We were talking about, I just said, what's your take on all of it? And it is interesting that, well, there weren't a lot of options here. It's either the government's going to pay for it on the complete collapse and unemployment, or they're going to pay for it to try to miss it.
Right.
And we'll find out how that all works out. But it's an interesting times.
Yeah.
Interesting times. Do you think this has an impact on the insurance business and the industry and how business is done? What do you see coming out of this?
One of the biggest impacts I think this will have on the agency space is this concept of remote working. I mean, you have all of these agencies that had to close their doors, move everybody home. And what they're realizing is, hey, this has worked really well.
Yeah.
I don't need to maintain all of this office space, and all of that's going to drop to the bottom line. So I think that's going to be an unintended consequence of this whole thing. And it's going to be interesting to see, how it impacts the agency space and maybe how it impacts the value of commercial property. Who knows?
I know. So glad I just bought the building.
Yeah.
So glad.
That has been a conversation that's come up recently with a lot of people that I know in other industries as well. But I mean, yes, I would say all of America that has had the opportunity to work from home has realized it's not as scary as once thought.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of benefits to it, and maybe it's a hybrid model in the future or whatever, but it's definitely interesting. I there's so many negatives that are on the forefront of everything that's going on now that it's hard to see a lot of the benefits that are going to come out of this. And that is one benefit. I think that it's forcing us to think differently when we've been very relaxed for a while in business. And I think there's going to be a lot of good coming out of this and innovation.
I agree with you, Jason. Absolutely. Especially when schools open up. We've been hearing there's a lot of challenges right now with parents who have young kids at home that they're having to work while helping their kids engage with online school. My kids are older. My youngest is a sophomore in high school. So I just, Sam, go do your school.
They're on autopilot.
Yeah. They're on autopilot.
Go do it.
Yeah. But to have elementary school kids at home, in fact, we're looking at pulling together an hour-long webinar where we're going to bring in a career coach and a wellness coach to talk to our participants about how do you manage having kids in homeschool and work at the same time, and what's realistic, and how do you manage that? I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. No, that's a for real situation. And then on top of it, the layers of that is, some of like even our job, like I have employees that have, 4 kids plus that aren't in school, and they're trying to help a bunch of people on the phone and trying to pay attention and everything while, it can be very demanding. And then having 4 kids, right by you right there it's very demanding. And my heart goes out to them. As we all try to figure out how do we manage this the best, and then going forward with the uncertainty of, are schools actually going to open up, or are they just, gonna be pushed back? Like, what's really going on?
We were talking the other day, you know, back in April, we thought, oh, this is gonna pass in a month or so. Well, it didn't. So here we are. Yeah.
No, as soon as they close down Disneyland and sports, it's like, no, it's not gonna open up 2 weeks later. Like those decisions
NFL
to
is
make,
like, okay.
yeah, the decisions to make that large of organizations stop is not going to be so easy to open back up. Like that was a turning point for me mentally. I was like, oh, this is going to be a long haul.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the new normal.
I can't get into the electronic people on the sidelines of the basketball game. It's not doing it for me.
Or the cutouts of people. In
the
the
cutouts it's just.
Although
trying
Bernie
to be positive
in the background of the Dodgers was phenomenal. If they could just do more stuff.
Put whoever.
Yeah. Like, where's Waldo?
Yeah, exactly.
Funny. That is
so.
funny.
What else? What else is cooking? What else do you guys have cooking? I love the webinar that you're doing. If you get the link over, we can throw it in the show notes.
Awesome. I'll do that. We're rolling out. This is kind of interesting, and it goes back to a career in insurance and just how fascinating it can be. We have successfully built out a 3-semester program for high school students in Texas that's actually rolling out in some other states also, where high school kids can obtain their CISR designation in 3 semesters in high school.
Wow.
And we built it using actors and actresses in our studios and a few internal people, where they're teaching our regular CISR courses written exclusively and uniquely for the high school student mind, where these kids on a daily basis watch these videos and then sit for the exams. And if they pass the exams, they graduate from high school with one of our designations.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. We're rolling it out here first in Texas. We've received a lot of insurance industry support from a lot of local agencies who are actually contributing money as scholarships for the high schools in their communities. Yeah,
wow.
So these kids, instead of some of them who never will have an opportunity to go to college, instead of going to work at McDonald's, can go to work as a CSR in an agency and start a career. It's really exciting.
That is exciting. I love it. What a great idea.
Yeah.
Get some good curriculum in that high school.
Yeah, because how do we teach, we all fall into this, right? At some point, somebody falls into it, or your dad did it, or your family did it, and you get into this role. Where is that? It's like, if you're not around it, there's no chance that you're going to be like, I'm going to take some time to learn about the insurance industry.
Yes.
So that's great.
And then there's an optional 4th semester internship at a local agency. So
nice.
These local agencies then can bring in these kids from the high school and test them out and potentially offer them a job.
Interesting.
That's really cool. I
could be the annex here in Tucson. So if you want to, I'm always looking.
There's a couple of high schools and colleges that I got hooked up with when I first opened my agency, and they had programs going that would bring some interns in, and it was a fun experience. They learned a lot. I learned a lot. So that's a great. I love that program. Are you guys coming over here to California?
Eventually. Yeah, we just rolled it out this month here in Texas. Like I said,
cool.
We have a couple other states that we're rolling it out into. And my guess as we learn over the next couple of semesters how to best, narrow this down perfectly and make any necessary changes that we need to make, and we start seeing these kids have success, every state is going to want it, because we got it certified for CTE requirements here in Texas. So it actually can qualifies for federal grant money so that these high schools can get special grant money to help these kids obtain this specialized insurance designation before they graduate.
Everyone wins.
Yeah, and we
Ultimate
all
win,
know,
win, win.
yeah, we all know how desperate the industry is for new people. Yeah.
Well, and I love that. I think that gives some reassurance that we're not going away.
No.
If we're making programs to inject more people into it, and then the more awareness there is, the more that people are going to see the need, because there is a need.
Absolutely. And so we're going to spend some time over the next year creating some podcasts for high school kids, some videos explaining just how exciting, a career in the insurance industry is. And we all know if you have an interest in construction or whatever, you can find a career in the insurance industry. Right. Marketing, PR, finance, there's a place for you.
And I think almost anybody that enters this world and becomes staff at an agency can eventually become an agent.
Absolutely.
As long as you have some business, and even then, you may not want to be the role of the business owner. Like Jason and I are more entrepreneurial, want to be the business owner, and then we have the more the other, like the more insurance minded that does the reviews, and you can do it anyway, right? Yeah. You can say, I want to be in the office and I want to do all the reviews. Great, do it.
Right.
So that's what's so wonderful about it is there's so many different ways you can run your agency. There's so many different ways so many different things to focus on. And so it's
roles.
So many different roles. I love it.
That's awesome.
We want to create some content to explain to these kids just how cool a career in the insurance industry can be and what their options are and give them some visibility into some of these younger agents and what they're doing, so to get them excited about getting engaged with our course.
That's great.
Yeah. We'll link that up too. Make sure you get the link over.
You bet.
Yep. So Mitch, with everything that you've learned, if you had to give one piece of advice to insurance agents in general, maybe somebody that's new, or from some of the pitfalls that you've seen throughout the industry, what would be the one piece of advice you give insurance agents?
Do something. What I mean by that, let me give you an experience from when I was a police officer. So for a few years in my career, I was on a SWAT team, and we did some training at a paintball arena, an indoor paintball arena, where we all armed ourselves with paintball guns, and we were practicing doing hostage rescues and dynamic entries. Well, as with most police officers, the first hour went fine, and then it turned into a free-for-all. But my partner and I were on the high ground inside this paintball arena, just hanging out, and we saw this group of like 3 or 4 younger SWAT officers walking below us. So we just turned our paintball guns on them and basically did an ambush. And what I learned from that was, in an ambush, the only way to survive it or to get out of it is to do something and fight
instead
back.
Of just sitting there. Yeah.
Instead of just standing there taking all of this flurry of paintball rounds from above, the ones that actually did something and moved or returned fire, they escaped. And I think the same is true in business. It can be real simple, or you can get overwhelmed with, Google AdWords. I mean, the list goes on and on and on how are you going to get out there? What are your options? What does it all mean? How am I going to do a podcast? How am I going to do a video? How am I going to engage on the internet with my customers? It can get so overwhelming that you don't do anything.
Yeah. There's so much noise that you get paralyzed, and you get that
analysis paralysis.
Yeah,
exactly. But the ones that are successful put away the fear and they do something, and that something leads to something else, which leads to something else, and before you know it, you're on your way. Yeah.
Love it. Well, that's fantastic advice, especially this year when we could either cower or we can really take advantage of the opportunity to just change, right? To do something, help people. Like There's so much. When there is change, there's so much you can do.
Do something.
Yeah. Do something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love it. Thanks so much, Mitch. This is awesome.
Yeah, you guys are terrific. Let's stay in contact. I'd love to share your podcast with these high school students.
Cool.
Sure.
You guys are super dynamic, and I think they'd really enjoy it. So I'll be in touch. It's a real honor. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank
Mitch.
you, Mitch.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
This is great.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.